nice. we could do this. We could do this. We look like we're, Brothers Murph or something. Are
we recording?
Yeah, we're recording. We're on.
Oh.
What's happening, party people? Welcome to Punchboard Party. My name is Daniel, and I am with the best person on the planet.
Wow.
Father Greg Roth. So he is my kind of primary gaming buddy that I play with most often, and we play a lot of games together, and we enjoy each other's company.
Most of the time.
Okay.
Most of the time.
Good. And so I thought it'd be great to get Father Greg on the channel more often, and so we're going to start a series. I hope it becomes a series. It'll be up to Father Greg if he likes this experience or not. But we're going to give first impressions reactions, first impressions reviews of games that we have just played. So tonight we just played Radlands. We have the deluxe Kickstarter edition, which is the game and 2 playmats. So that's deluxe, right? That's what you get. Although we like Roxley. You've been following Roxley for a long time. Like you kind of.
I have. I am a big fan of Roxley. I should preface that. I love the boys from Calgary. So
that's right. We're in Saskatoon, so we're kind of close to.
That's right. I've played everything that Roxley has except for Super Motherload. I think that's the only game of Roxley that I've never touched, but everything else I'm familiar with their work. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So yes, Roxley Games, Radlands, 2-player kind of card combat skirmish type of game, and so we're just going to give our initial thoughts, what we're thinking about it. So Father Ray, why don't you start us off with what you enjoy about Radlands?
So I enjoy it. It's a clean, very simple, thematic kind of 2-player battle it out. If you're familiar with any kind of 2-player battling card games like Magic the Gathering or any kind of just dueling game, this will be something that will come naturally to you, but where without any of the complexity that Magic the Gathering might have. There's a kind of intimidation factor that might kind of, lead some people away from that. But this has none of that. It's pretty easy to kind of grasp the rules. A few keywords you need to understand, and then you're off to the races. So yeah, that kind of first impressions was just like, oh, this is pretty simple, but this is nice.
Yeah, no, I loved the simplicity of this game. I thought, I'm not huge on these kind of tactical battle games, like combat, dueling games, I guess. I'm not really huge on them. I always feel out of my depth. But this one, very easy access. As Father Greg was going through the rules, I just really was like, oh, simple, 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 simple. Like I can get into this, I can know what I'm doing. And the other thing that I like about it along those veins is that everything kind of centers around water as a resource. And you basically have 3 waters that you can spend on your turn to kind of execute all the actions that you can afford with 3 water. You'll be able to get a few more based on cards that you have in your tableau and this kind of thing. But all in all, your turns are fairly focused on just kind of what you can afford with a limited amount of water. And so I enjoyed that because there wasn't too much to keep track of. It was just kind of sort of very tactical in that sense, where you could just kind of, okay, what can I do now with this limited resource that I have? And so I enjoyed the focus there. I wasn't trying to keep track of too much on my side of the board.
Yeah, and I think as that stays with the theme, I think it's pretty stringent. Like you've only got 3 water, which is not a lot. Most cards cost about 1 water, but some cost 2. So like you could play like a card and a half maybe a turn. Like it's pretty stringent, but which kind of fits with the theme. Like water's this kind of scarce resource, which means that you can't carry on a turn where you're playing like 50 cards in a row and like chaining, endless amount of combos. But there are some things that you can do. So one of the things you can do is you can discard cards from your hand to use what they call like a junk ability. So cards are like a precious resource though. So every time you discard a card from your hand, like you're losing another big resource. It's not water, but it's another thing that like is going to hamper you later in the game, but it will allow you to kind of, if you want to do 1 or 2 explosive turns, you can. Yes. Because you can spend like a couple cards to kind of just boost you along a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk, you mentioned the theme, and I want to talk about the theme because I think it's fantastic. But just before we get into that whole idea of cards being scarce, both of our games, so we played 2 games back to back, and it was the person who kind of ran out their hand that ended up losing the game each time.
Right.
And so it seems like it's pretty important to keep your hand stacked in some capacity, because you can do a lot with those cards, with discarding the junk abilities, these kinds of things. And so it was, you know, getting yourself in a situation where you just have 1 or 2 cards at a time, it kind of puts you at a big disadvantage, and you want to watch out for that, for sure. And I don't know if that's a flaw in the game or a flaw in just us. Which is probably us.
So it's interesting. So at the beginning of the game, you, at least with they give you an introductory game, which kind of gives you 3 bases, sort of particularly already laid out. So the goal is, once you lose your 3 bases, you've lost the game. So your goal is to destroy your opponent's 3 bases as quickly as possible. But the bases in the normal game, you kind of draft from a hand of like 6 cards. You pick 3 of them. And each card gives you a starting hand size. And so based on the 3 cards you pick, you're going to either have more or less cards than your opponent. So that's an interesting thing. Like, some cards might be really good, but they might have a, you know, restricting hand size. So I think it's an interesting kind of thing to keep in mind. Like, oh, this card would give me 2 cards, but like its ability isn't that good. Do I want this card? You know, and trying to value how much a hand size is worth is a pretty interesting kind of concept in this game.
Yeah, for sure. So, on to theme. Can you read us this poem, this flavor text that's on this box to kind of give us a splash of what this theme is all about?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if this is an actual poem. I've never heard of the poet Stephen Crane, but
this is found on the box.
The back of the box says this: I saw a creature, naked, bestial, who squatting upon the ground held his heart in his hands and ate of it. I said, "Is it good, friend?" "It is bitter." "Bitter," he answered, "but I like it, because it is bitter and because it is my heart." Wow. I don't know what to make of that, but I think that accurately kind of describes the theme of this game, which, if you're familiar with, we were saying like Mad Max, that theme really comes out in the art and in the kind of just the presentation of the box. Even the opening box, if you like open it, the guy's head comes off. So there is like kind of a graphic warning on the back of the box that, you know, this might not be suitable for every age group. But if you like that kind of, just that kind of overblown, kind of gratuitous violence, perhaps, that this game is right up your alley.
Yeah, we're all about just gratuity. Yeah, so really the best way to describe this game's theme is Mad Max, especially Fury Road. Like, it's almost like verbatim the images on the cards. Even the cover here, like it's almost like an Imogen Joe image right there. There's a cult leader card that's very reminiscent of that kind of, he's like breathing vials of something or other.
Gross, yeah.
It is gross. It is gross, but it's fine.
It's great.
It's fine. Fun for the whole family. But I personally love this theme. I love those movies, so it was just really fun to get into it. And the card art is beautiful. Like, beautiful might be the weird word to use here, but it is done beautifully. Like, it really
It's very captivating. It brings you into the theme very, very easily.
It looks so good, and so I just really, I think they nailed that. It's so immersive, and even if for me that's big. Like, art on cards and theme always kind of gets me that extra mile when the mechanisms are starting to kind of clog up for me or whatever. Not that I'm saying that happens here, but this like gets me past any resistance I would have with this style of game. It gets me in the door.
Right.
So really excited about that there. So are you saying anything negative about this game, Father Greg? Is there anything on first impressions that you're kind of like, this didn't work great for me?
Not too many negatives. I mean, you don't need the deluxe edition unless you want playmats. I mean, the box comes in a nice, if you like small shelf space, I mean, there's a heck of a game in this tiny little box.
100%.
So, you know, if you just want like a little small game, you can just get the basic game. The deluxe version has playmats, which are beautiful as well. They make the box, you know, 3 times as big, but so not necessary, but they add something. They had some nice, you know, flavor to the game. Yeah, I don't think anything really negative that struck out to me.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing for me is something that you can say about any game like this, so I don't think it stands out as a negative for people who love this style of game. But for me, just the luck of the draw is really prevalent here. where I draw a couple cards in my hand that I'm able to do just a lot more in a turn than you're able to do, or in the right way. Like the first game, I kind of obliterated you because I had two cards in my hand that both did the same thing. I had a powerful card on the table. Every time that card got damaged, when a card gets damaged, you can't do its ability. But then when there's an ability called Restore that you can restore that card and then do its ability. So I had kind of two cards in a row that easily restored. It restored cards when it came into play, and it had an ability to restore cards. So I was able to restore that card all over the place and do a lot of damage back to back to back. And so sometimes you just fall into having a combination that just works really well to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and sometimes you just don't have that synergy in your hand, especially because all you're doing is there's no drafting, there's no acquisition, there's no market. You're just drawing from the top deck of cards and you're getting what you're getting. Now again, a lot of the cards do a lot of the same things and you have a wide variety, but I think there's
a lot of card synergies, and so if you get two cards that work really well together, like I had a Call Leader, and so the Call Leader like killed off your own units, but that enabled you to attack. And so if you have another card that generates a lot of units really cheaply, like there's a guy that generates punks, these like of nameless, useless kind of guys.
You just use the backside of the regular card,
Yeah, and so if you just generate a lot of those guys and then use your Cult Leader to like kill them off, that can be another like powerful synergy. But if you're lacking one of those cards, of course, on its own, you could rapidly, like with the Cult Leader, run out of cards or whatever. So
but I don't think that's a weakness to this game specifically. I think that's something that plays out in these kind of dueling games a lot.
Right.
But that's something that kind of I wonder about. After multiple plays, would I start getting frustrated or feeling like I'm not really in the driver's seat or not? And because I don't play a lot of these games enough, I don't know. Again, if it's the game or if it's me. I'm perfectly willing to say that it's me. So as we kind of round off our thoughts, you own this game.
I do.
Would, after playing it, if you did not own it, would you feel compelled to buy this game? To add it to your collection?
I think I would. I play a lot of two-player games, so this is right in my kind of wheelhouse. It says on the box 20 to 40 minutes. That's probably fairly accurate to kind of what we played. It's relatively short, but it packs a punch. There's some good decisions in it. So for me, I would buy this game again for sure. Yeah.
Now, so for me, I would buy this game if Father Greg didn't own it. Right, so because Father Greg owns it, I don't feel compelled to have my own copy because I feel like the only person I would play it with would be you. I don't think I would play it with anybody else really. There's nobody kind of in my sphere that, because you do need kind of a bit of familiarity with this style of game, or like, and the theme isn't super approachable. So like for Sarah, my wife,
this is not the epitome of a romantic settling in kind of game, getting to know you a little deeper. Yeah, exactly.
No, this is just like friends who want to blow the crap out of each other. This is good.
That's right.
This is really good. And like, I love, we didn't talk about the tokens, like the water tokens are these nice chunky plastic pieces. It's fun. Like it's very tactile, fun to play with that way. So again, I'm not gonna rush out to buy it. If Father Greg didn't own it, I'd still be on the fence, but only because of the genre. But this would be the first of this type of game that I think I would pick up. It's very accessible, very easy to get into and have a lot of fun for what it is. I had fun with it. Yeah, so that's Radlands. Do you want to give this like a spontaneous, like in pencil rating?
Yeah, right now I'm probably
like,
at least
what are you putting at BGG, I guess.
A good 8.5, maybe a 9, something like that.
Yeah, cool. So I'm coming in at a 7.5 to 8 range for myself. It's fun. It's a good time. I don't know, like, I forgot to ask, like, how. On a scale, from a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you itching to play this again?
Yeah, I mean, I'm itching to play it again. Let's do it. Let's get it to the table right away.
Right now.
Yeah, I mean, we played it twice in a row, and
we did,
and
I wanted to, and I felt like I wanted to get more out of it, like that. Just like I wanted to stay there longer,
right, and just see just kind of what the different bases like offer. Like, there's a huge deck. I don't know how many bases are in this game, but there's quite a bit. Like, and you're only playing with 3 of them, and that can change up the way that the game works pretty, in a fair degree. And so it's not drastic change, but it's enough of a change that it kind of, maybe after many plays, could impact your decision. So it's kind of like, well, I want to see what other bases are in there. I want to delve more into that. I want to see what's available.
And with the play time of half an hour, 45 minutes, I think that's accurate. This is great to just start off any evening. Like, when you come over, like, we could just start off with this and then get into something else.
Right.
Easy enough.
Yeah.
For sure.
Very much so.
Well, party people, have you checked out Radlands? Have you enjoyed us? Let us know in the comments down below what you thought of Radlands and what you think of this style of video. If you like this kind of thing, if you like our banter, our conversation, if you like Father Greg, if you want him around, if you don't want him around, just, boo him
Please
off.
make that a note in the comments.
What's with this guy? No, I'm so happy that I was able to do this, and I hope that we can do this because we play games pretty much weekly. So just to kind of come down to the basement and just record a quick video, I think is something that would be fun. But let us know if you're like, that sounds horrible. Just let us know about that. But so far, so good. Really enjoyed our time playing Radlands. Really enjoyed our conversation with you. But please engage down in the comments down below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate that. And until next time, party people, have the best day.